So that was the first speech we had today, and the next talk will be about conversational AI at ERGO, the insurance company ERGO. From the title of the presentation is From an Alexa Speedboat to Conversational Strategy, and it is presented by Malte Kosub, who is co-founder and managing director of Parloa, and Nicolas Konnerth, who is head of voice and conversation at ERGO Digital Ventures.
Perfect. Thank you very much for the kind introduction. So my name, as you already mentioned, is Nicolas Konnerth, as a head of voice and conversations for ERGO. And that means that I am responsible to design, to shape, and also to train digital assistants for different kinds of customer service communication channels. And we do so for our whole group of ERGO with all the different subsidiaries and entities we have. But I'm also very happy that we can also offer our solutions to other insurance companies. And we do so based on great technology that Malte will start first off.
Thanks, Nico. My name is Malte. I'm one of the co-founders of Parloa, and we are helping companies to use the newest technology in conversational AI to automate their customer communication. And we have been working with Nico and his team for more than 3 years and developed, I think, a pretty interesting offering together we want to show you today. And to show you that offering, we want to start by talking about a experience you probably all have experienced so far, and which unfortunately happens way too often. To show you what I mean, I shortly want to call the Kronos Insurance, an insurance we have dedicatedly developed for those demo purposes. We don't show the ERGO because the ERGO is a few steps ahead. So let's shortly call the Kronos Insurance.
Hi and welcome to the Kronos Insurance. Please press 1 for contract and account data. Press 2 for reporting a claim. Press 3 for invoices and amounts. Press 4 for special offers. Press 5 for other inquiries. Or press 6 to repeat the options.
Sounds that familiar to you? I've experienced something like that a lot of times. And people don't like that because it's annoying and inefficient. And at the end, a customer don't really remember what the first options were, or the customer just presses any button. And if the customer then found the way through the IVR, then a call center agent would ask for a customer number, for a birth date, for a postal code, and to double check if that's the real customer. And this authentication process alone takes about 45 seconds on average. And tasks like these make 30 to 40% of an agent's time repetitive and lame, and increases costs for every organization. And this represents 90 million minutes, which are wasted every day. So 90 million minutes, that's 170 years, which are wasted every day by call center agents worldwide. Give me 1 second. So also your call center agents are doing the same thing over and over again. And on top of hurting company results, this also leads to highly frustrated agents, mainly because they need to do the same thing over and over again. And in that time, they could also spend their time solving actual problems of your customers. And that's where Parloa comes in. We are revolutionizing the way businesses communicate with their customers. We are using the newest technology in conversational AI. And how that works, I shortly want to show you now. Parloa is a conversational hub which can connect every customer contact center infrastructure like Genesis, like Avaya, and so on. So we are using a SIP client to connect to your call center infrastructure. There we get the audio file, which we then send to our speech to text. The speech to text translates the audio file into text. Then the natural language understanding tries to identify what the user wants. Then the Parloa engine is figuring out what the answer is, and the text-to-speech is reading out the answer. And certainly we can also connect chat front ends like WhatsApp, like Teams, like an on-site chat to the natural language understanding and the Parloa engine. And for all those components, we're using the best conversational AI technology out there. So you will experience the best automated call you have ever heard. And on top of that, we are adding a low-code front end to enable companies to use those pipelines. With those front end, you can configure the SIP client, you can train the speech to text, you can train the natural language understanding, you can train and model your dialogues, and you can optimize the text to speech. And obviously, you can also connect all your backends in order to connect your CRM and so on. So what's the added value for a call center? Employees don't need to do the easy tasks. They can focus on the complex tasks so you can reduce the cost. We can decrease the average handling time because we can automatically authenticate a user during the waiting times. We can increase the first contact resolution rate because we have a higher accuracy in routing the customer to the right agent. And since the agent gets the context, so what does the user want and is the user already authenticated, we can increase the customer satisfaction. So that was a lot of theory. Let's jump into a demo. Let's call the ERGO how a call with insurance company should look like today.
Welcome to ERGO Insurance. How may I help you?
Hello, it's Malte speaking. I moved, so I would like to change my address. Is that possible?
We can change your address with pleasure. Please tell me your customer number.
Sure, it's BQ8153626.
Let me repeat. BQ8153626. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And when's your birthday?
It's on the 31st of August, 1992.
Thank you. With this, I was able to authenticate you successfully. So what is your new address that I should save in the system?
It's 20 Albany Street in Boston.
So you are now registered in 20 Albany Street in Boston?
Yes, that's correct.
All right. Then I enter the change into our system as desired, and you will receive a confirmation by mail within the next few days. Is there anything else I can help you with?
No, thanks. That was awesome.
Thank you. And on behalf of ERGO Insurance, I wish you a pleasant day. Goodbye.
And by now, every insurer in the world can build experiences like that. But because not every insurer can or want to invest to build experience like that, Nico and his team developed a great offering together with us, and we'll talk about that now. I hope that no one is ringing on your door, Nico. It's your stage.
Thank you very much. Exactly. So if you now consider what Malte has just presented with the maturity of the technology, also the excellent use case that he demonstrated, and also the potential that it offers for insurance companies, and not only insurance, but also widespread around all different industries, you would imagine that voice bots or general digital assistants should be quite generally adopted everywhere within all kinds of industries, especially in the insurance company where we have a lot of call center traffic. But matter of fact, if we look at the different insurance entities, we see that most of them are actually stuck at the exploration phase, which is a good sign because a lot of insurances are already exploring the topic and are looking what is the potential in it for me. But on the other hand side, we also experience that a lot of insurances don't really exceed this exploration phase. So a lot of companies already have, for instance, chatbots in place that they are testing, but like a widespread adoption of the services across all different customer services, that is something that is rarely seen within our industry. And the reason for that, from our point of view, is that basically you have to consider a lot of different success criteria in order to take the digitalization of your customer services via bots very serious. First of all, if you design a bot, it needs to be deeply trained. And by that, I mean, there are no customers at all that like to interact with a bot that has to state a couple of times, can you please repeat that? I didn't understand what you just said. So from our experience, and I think Malte can confirm that with other customers as well, is that you have to build your bots clearly in a way that they are able to handle a lot of different variety in the speeches of the users, handle all of the different inputs. So at no point the user will be thrown out of the flow and be handed over to an agent, for instance, or is just canceling the call due to a bad experience. Then if you have one very well trained use case, that's not enough because, for instance, if you look at a website chat and you offer a chat channel just for one use case you have via chatbot, it doesn't make any sense because there will be probably a lot of users using the chat because they want, for instance, hand in a claim, they want to know the current status of a claim, but only a minor share of the users want to, for instance, change the address. So you need to consider all the different use cases that you have in order to make a really sensible offer to your customers. What we've also experienced on our side was legal clarity, because if you make such a change to your customer services, you're confronted with a lot of new legal questions that you need to consider and also get consultancy on. For instance, is the technology hosted in the cloud? Where's the data being stored? Do we need customer consent to process the data? What means processing? Is it storing the data? Is it just run-through processing, so to say? And then also telecommunication, what kind of legal requirements are coming from that? So basically, you have to consider a lot of new requirements, and most of which are actually not something that you regularly consider as an insurance company because it's not part of your core business. Then also, and that's most interestingly, no insurance at all is probably hiring from the very beginning linguistic skills to their HR portfolio. So you have to consider if you want to design a bot that is conveying the brand of your insurance company, or if you are designing a bot that needs to provide a great usability for the users, that is something you need specific skills for that exceed maybe something that you already have in your house. So to summarize this all, you can have one formula behind it, which is technology plus people plus training equals one digital assistant. And each part of this formula, you need to consider some decisions, make quite some commitments before you get to have the very first digital assistant. For instance, for technology, you have to take a decision. Do you build the technology yourself or do you buy it? And if you buy it, do you buy it by a fixed license that you have to pay yearly or monthly? Or do you maybe have a one-off investment? For people, you have to consider, for instance, do you hire new people, internal people sustainably, long-term? Or do you just get external consultancy on board that is supporting you with the very new skills that you need? Same accounts for legal questions, because I guess most legal teams in insurance companies are more focused on insurance legal topics, not so much on digital assistant legal topics. And then training, you always have the hen and the egg problem of how do you get to train a bot with productive data, or at least data that is close to production, to make a bot that is really fit to your customer intents. And on the other hand side, you have to consider how do I do that for each and every case. And from our experience, each bot that you develop, each digital assistant that you develop, means an intense new commitment that you need to take and new decisions you take from day to day, and just for one digital assistant. So our solution at nexvoice, an offering that we have established with ERGO, is basically to take all these different commitments, decisions you have to take away from you and just sum it up to one offering, which is called nexvoice, and that is purely the digital assistant. Because at the end of the day, you have to consider, if you want to have food, you don't want to buy the whole restaurant, right? So if you just want to order by menu, that is something you can get with nexvoice, because we take the technology that Malte has presented, and we add another value for you, which is already pre-trained use cases that you can use just on-demand basis. And we have our core product for that purpose is our platform nexvoice, where we have designed different kinds of insurance-related use cases. Use cases where we already see in the discussions we have with our insurance entities all around the world that typically these use cases are always the same. There's, for instance, the intent recognition and the routing. That is the use case that Malte has just shown, where users usually press 1, 2, 3, etc. And that is just the basic everywhere. And we offer here to already provide you with a pre-designed intent recognition bot that is trained already on insurance data that helps your customers to find their way around your customer services and forward them to the right service agents. The second part is also frequently asked questions. That is also something we can reach a lot of different customers, a lot of different customer intents. From our experience, for instance, we were very successful during the Corona crisis, where suddenly we had an increase in the calls we've experienced in our customer services due to the logistics of the FFP2 masks. And same accounts also, for instance, for the vaccination topic that is now also increasing the amount of calls that are running through our customer service center. And for that purpose, we have designed a very simple bot that is taking the most important questions with regards to these topics and is providing answers. And by doing so, we were able to keep a lot of these calls out of our customer services that would have only been added on top of all the day work they have to do anyways. Also, some of the, I would say, king disciplines of insurance companies we also have in our portfolio. For instance, the claims handling, which we use, for instance, for hail damages. Because if a hail event is at some point, you suddenly get hundreds of calls simultaneously in your customer service center. And usually that is nothing where you would plan personal staffing for. So in that case, also we have a bot that is able to handle it. We also have successfully a bot implemented that is providing to the customers the current status of a claim. If the customer has handed in, for instance, an invoice and wants to know if that is being paid by the insurance. So the key advantages of our nexvoice offering that we are providing as ERGO to other insurance companies is that you get bots that are already trained and designed and ready from the very first minute. We are also providing a platform that works as a standalone system, which is also quite important for us, for ourselves, for our group ourselves, because we have different entities within our groups with different kind of telco systems. So we designed the platform in a way that it was standalone, working from the very beginning. Also, customer service experience through all different communication channels. We have talked a lot about phone because I think that is the most value-adding channel where you can implement bots. However, the philosophy is always train a bot once and roll it out on multiple channels. Because the ideas, the mechanics behind it are always the very same. If you train a bot once, you can offer it on your different customer service channels, such as chat, voice assistants, but also WhatsApp, for instance. And last but not least, as we are providing our services on a usage-based cost basis, you get also a clear business case behind it. So as you only have minimal implementation costs, which are basically just the adaptation to your business, you then only have very clear operational costs that come per usage. So you can directly develop a business case behind it. And last but not least, if you have any further questions, I think if we have time, we are also available for those. If not, you can always reach out to Malte or me. And of course, you can also try out our digital assistant if you like. Test one of the use cases there as well, ask some questions with regards to the offering, and also ask for a callback from our side. So thank you very much for listening, and I'm very much looking forward to any questions.
So thanks a lot, Malte and Nicolas. I think we have time for one question. So if you could, in a very short answer, give us some insights into concrete experiences giving maintenance of those developed services in the life cycle of such an application. That would be very nice, I think.
Nico, you want to start?
Yeah, I can do so. Perfect. Yeah. So basically, I think what's most important with regards to maintenance is the continuous training, especially in the beginning phase of the bots. You have to very thoroughly look at how the customers are interacting with the bots and where does the bot not work in a way that you're supposed to have it. And I would say by training just the first couple of days, you can already get a high maturity and a lot of robustness of the bots, which you want. On the other hand side, you always have to continuously also monitor what's happening. There we also have, for instance, KPI systems and monitoring systems in place that help us to understand if the bot is still running continuously and also how well it is performing. And lastly, also with regards to lifecycle, you also always have to consider, is the bot still needed? I mentioned the example of the Corona crisis bots. for instance, for the FFP2 mask or the vaccinations, those are just temporary topics that at some point of time we also need to switch off, not to confuse any customers. Do you want to add something, Malte?
No, everything is said.
So thanks a lot for the insights in your cooperation, Malte and Nicolas. Very interesting, and thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.